Alright everyone, I think we've waited long enough. Let's get to know the other side of Dave K. Sharing with you some information I've never shared with you before. What am I really all about? Who am I really besides just a theme park goer? What's going on, everyone? Dave K here today, and I want to talk to you about something a little bit different. Something maybe you're not used to from me. Dabble into some new content with the exception of some of that theme park content. I know I've done a lot of content recently, kind of outside that norm, but I want to kind of open up this content category as a whole, something I'm interested in, which you may not already know, or you may have gotten some clues from some previous videos. And I've seen some very nice comments from a lot of friends. Clearly, I'm not the only one interested in this space, but I'm very interested in finance, investing, real estate, retiring early. If you've heard of that, a lot of people mention the FIRE principle, right? Financial independence, retiring early. The concept as a whole is something I'm really interested in, and I'm kind of passionate for myself. And one of my goals is to be able to kind of build that financial stability for myself, where I have the ability to retire early, I have the ability to do whatever it is I want to do, or travel and go wherever I want to go in terms of the long term. So this is one of my secret interests and passions, which you may not have heard too much about in previous videos. So I've touched on, again, a couple of different videos in terms of how to retire early, some of the stock market, some of the stocks I've bought, and that kind of thing. But I want to kind of open up the whole can of worms here in terms of my interest in financial independence, retiring early, and that sort of thing. I'm really driven to build some financial stability for myself. And let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. So I have a couple of different ideas in mind for how I can build that financial stability for myself and what that'll look like. But a couple of different ideas are in terms of I want to make sure that I'm putting enough money away, saving that money while I'm working so that I can build towards that early retirement. So putting a good percentage of my income away, and it depends what kind of position that you're in terms of saving. I'm thinking, 30% is a solid range for a lot of people. So that's something to keep in mind. But I want to be able to take that money and put it away towards either investments in the stock market. If I can invest in enough stocks, which give me enough of a dividend, or some sort of return in that way, dividend is probably what I'd be looking for. It would allow me to be able to live off of those dividends and be able to make ends meet without having to worry about working. Now, depending upon the situation, I may want to be working, depends on the job and that sort of thing. But to be able to have that flexibility and that freedom to make that choice is such a big deal for me. And I want to dive a little bit more into maybe that piece. We can talk a little bit more about stocks if that's something of interest to you. Now, I noticed some friends touched on who are some of your favorite YouTubers when it comes to finance and investment, Dave. And so one of the individuals I like to watch quite a bit is Andre Jick, and he has a bunch of videos in terms of stocks and investment, and he kind of does that whole dividend thing as well. He's a big dividend investor. And so that's something I'm very interested in. Again, I watch a lot of those different videos, some content from a variety of different people regarding dividends and stocks with high dividends, and finding out what stocks are solid investment choices and just overall good dividend returners, kind of the return rate, how long they've been returning dividends for, and that sort of thing. So again, one of the many YouTubers I watch in that kind of space right there, and a great one, very entertaining content. But that's one of the types of content I was thinking about. Maybe we'll dive a little bit more into and talk about a little bit more in the future. But we shall see, and let me know what you think about that. Another option for me in terms of nice way to be able to retire early in a way is in terms of home investment, real estate investment. I've always been very excited by real estate investment. A long time ago, growing up, I was playing Fable. If you've played Fable, I'm a big video gamer, as you know. And I was playing Fable, and one of the things that I did in order to make my kingdom some more money was I bought one of the houses, and I started renting it out. And I kind of built into this chain where I bought all these houses, an entire city block or entire regions where I'd own real estate in Fable, and I'd rent it out to all the different individuals in my kingdom so that I could make a good amount of money and start saving up towards those big goals like defense and that sort of thing for the kingdom. And that really inspired me about sort of the passion, my interest in passive income and that sort of thing. So real estate investment, being able to buy a property and rent it out to others, maybe to even live in one of the rooms. That could potentially completely slash my real estate costs. If I buy a place and I could rent out all the rooms besides my own, I think that'd be a fantastic way to build myself towards an early retirement, or build myself towards that financial independence, as I'm really hoping to do. So that's another thought in terms of a way to work towards financial independence. And those both are kind of on my mind, and maybe we can talk about those both more here, but I wanted to let you know some of those secrets about me that you didn't know before. And I'd love to know, again, your thoughts and your interest in those categories as well. Now, obviously, for either of those two situations or solutions to work, the saving piece does need to come into factor. So I need to make sure I'm putting away enough of my income, enough of my earnings to be able to build towards building up a savings to buy those investments. And I can't really go for both, where I can't go all in on the stock market and go into real estate as well, because things are expensive. I mean, hypothetically, you could do both if you've got enough saved up to say, okay, I'm gonna put all this money in the stock market and go into real estate. But I can't go all into the stock market and have any left over for real estate. So that's just, again, something else on my mind, but a piece of the process to consider as well. Again, really excited by it. And a long time ago, thought about making some videos on finance when I was first starting my channel. But I'm glad I'm taking some time to share that with you today, let you know a little bit about another one of my many interests. And as you may or may not have noticed, as you may or may not be able to tell at this point, I have a lot of different interests. I like to do a variety of different things. Again, finance is a category, and investment and business, that sort of thing, has always kind of appealed to me. Entrepreneurship's a whole nother conversation we could talk about. But of course, I've got the interest in theme parks, interest in food, interest in music, interested in video games. So I can be all over the place. But I hope you love the variety content as much as I do. Another fact you may not know about me, I may not come across this way, but in a way, I feel like I can be kind of a extroverted introvert, or an introverted extrovert, whichever of those two is appropriate. I can kind of sit in the middle on the introvert-extrovert scale, where a lot of the times I do kind of like to have my own space, be on my own, and that kind of thing, you know, just kind of appreciate thinking to myself and sitting in silence, as weird as that may sound. But again, I do like my own space in that way, and that may not necessarily come across. I know, again, love to share energy with you in these sorts of videos. And I feel like this video format is perfect kind of balance of extrovert and introvert, where I'm talking to myself, but at the same time, you're gonna see this video. Weird balance. But that's definitely something I enjoy doing. And I do love communicating with people, but I also love my own space a lot of the time as well. Does anybody else relate to that? Let me know. I'm realizing this is kind of like a get to know some of the other side of Dave K here as well. Not just information I've never shared, but just more about me in general. So another thing, I think this trait is more rare. You can let me know what you think. But I have the sort of way my brain works is I love to be doing something. You know, I like to be working. I like to be getting something done and being productive. So I do like playing video games. I feel like it's a great way to relax and kind of bring down that stress level and that sort of thing. But I also love to be productive and get work done as well. And work doesn't have to necessarily be job work, right? It can be a variety of different things. Maybe I'm cooking something, or I'm cleaning, or maybe I'm making YouTube videos, or maybe I'm actually working my day job. Any of those sorts of things, or working on some side projects, or looking into different things, learning about things, where I feel like I'm being productive and kind of learning something, gaining value or adding value. Those are things that I think I like to do a lot more and just kind of get energized by doing, whereas I do love playing video games, but I feel like depending upon how much time I spend sitting around playing video games, I can say to myself, was I productive enough today? Again, kind of, for me, that kind of takes away a feeling. But I know different people can have different feelings on that front. How do you feel about productivity in that sense? Do you feel like you need to get a lot done all the time, or do you like that kind of downtime all the time? Let me know what's right for you. Kind of similarly to that worker mindset, I feel like I'm kind of like a lean mean. I've mentioned lean mean fighting machine. You may have heard that before. In terms of, I try to eat generally, and I'll eat all kinds of different things. I'm not saying I'm always eating healthy, so I don't want to see, Dave, you don't always eat healthy. It's true, I don't always eat healthy. But I try to, in my day-to-day, build into my routine, eating as healthy as possible, eating lean foods, eating foods that aren't necessarily as delicious as other food items, but are going to be better for my health in the long term. Kind of giving up that short-term gain for the longer-term kind of investment there. It's kind of like passive investment as well, where I'm making a choice now, doing my little exercises today to build me up to where I want to be over the course of the long term. And in general, you know, I want to make sure I'm in better shape. I want to be feeling better and more energized, as I've mentioned. Kind of sugar can make me feel de-energized at times. and that sort of thing. So those are all kind of different reasons why I like to try to be lean mean when it comes to dining as well. And I think that's an opportunity for me to improve. I know a lot of the content I share with you is some of that delicious sugary stuff. Maybe I got to start sharing some more of that more nutritious stuff as well. We'll see. Let me know what you think on that front as well. Additionally, I can't claim on that same health front, I can't claim to be extremely healthy, right? I'm fortunate in the sense that overall I am fairly healthy. I have a lot of what I need in order to be healthy, and I don't have any major significant problems that I need to get regularly checked up on or anything like that. But my health is by no means perfect. For example, I'll get stomach aches just like the next person, maybe more regularly than the next person. So again, I can't claim to be perfect in that sense. And that's why I try to watch out for my health in that way and eat the right way, is I'm more susceptible, for example, to some stomach aches and that kind of thing. If I don't eat what really works for me, gets me energized, easier for me to get sick and that kind of thing. So can't claim to have perfect health, but I try to do what I can to take care of myself. Another thing you may not know about me kind of ties into a lot of this information already here as well. But I consider myself a huge nerd. Maybe that's not the right way to title it. Huge nerd. I am very interested in knowledge, gaining knowledge, learning as much as I can. Maybe that's not called nerd. You tell me what it's called. But I'm interested in gaining and acquiring as much knowledge as I can. I ask a lot of different questions. I like to read articles and that sort of thing. And that asking questions piece is sometimes why I ask for a lot of feedback as well. And you'll see, maybe I say it too much on my videos, is what do you all think of that or this or the other thing? So that's why I do that. It's just kind of a natural habit. And I like to gain feedback and learn and kind of improve and that sort of thing. Kind of fun for me to think about things from that perspective. So that is why I often ask, what do you think of this, that, the other thing? What'd you like? So I like to be able to learn that stuff from you. And I think I'm going to touch on that a little bit more in a later video as well. You may have seen me kind of talk about YouTube growth and that kind of thing, but I was thinking about touching on a little bit of the analytics and how you can go through some of that information, whether it's on YouTube or just, I guess, general social media platforms. Depends what you're looking at. But I was mostly talking from the YouTube perspective. So that's a thought on that. And let me know what you think of that idea. Does that sound like it would be fun to you? So there you have it. I'm not just interested in Disney and theme parks, but I also love a variety of other things and love to think about, often personally, I find a lot of my personal time I'm trying to think about that long-term game. What am I working towards? What am I building towards in my future in terms of that health, in terms of that wealth, and in terms of overall being, right? What are my goals in the long term? One thing I think I've started to touch on a couple times at this point is I'd love to do a Hawaii trip, and I'd love to do some traveling, go see some friends across the U.S., maybe visit Texas again, maybe travel vlog that. But I'd love to spend some time in Hawaii, check out some of those different islands and travel vlog that too. I feel like that'd be a fantastic time. Obviously, right now, I can't plan any adventures or make anything like that happen. But at some point, I feel like that might be nice to do. When things calm down, maybe some sort of celebration for me will be along the lines of Dave goes to Hawaii. Who knows? I feel like that'd be really fun for me. And I know many friends have asked for kind of like a day in the life or that sort of thing. Now that can be trickier in terms of a lot of my day in the life, especially right now, is just kind of working, right? I'm working from home, doing my job all the time. When I'm not working, I'm shooting these videos. And so pretty much you got a full picture of my day right there. But to let you know here in this particular video, kind of like a day in the life in the sense, is a lot of what I'm thinking and what's going on in my mind and what are things I'm thinking about talking to you about a little bit more, showing you kind of what I look at in terms of those analytics and channel and that kind of thing, or finance and investments and stocks and that kind of thing, or along those lines. So just give you an idea of some of the things going through my mind. So you've got kind of like a day in the life here, some of those other things that I think about, in addition to theme parks and food and that sort of thing. And happiness, of course. Positivity is key. It's essential. Got to keep that one right at the core. But here are some other things as well. And I know maybe, particularly in these times, people may be thinking more and more about finance and, how do I build up that savings account that I want to, in terms of making sure I have an emergency fund for when emergencies like this roll around. Or how can I make sure that the investments that I'm putting in the market are going to be there in time for me to retire, and it's going to have been a worthwhile decision, as opposed to I end up losing money on these stocks that I shouldn't have gotten. I'll tell you, some of my first investments, when I first invested in the stock market, really bad calls, lost more than I care to admit. But that's how you learn, right? So a couple of things, again, that go through my mind that I thought about, these might be fun to touch on in the future, give you an idea of what sounds exciting to me. And that covers most of what I want to touch on here today in terms of what else have I never shared before, the other side. Get to know the real Dave K here, give you some more information about me and kind of what goes through my mind, in addition to what you see on a normal day-to-day basis and what I'm working for, what I'm striving for in the longer term. Let me know what you think of this video. Would you like to hear me talk more about some of my dreams, some of my goals, and some of the other stuff besides the theme park stuff? Do you want to see me dive a little bit more into the theme parky stuff? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for being a part of the fun with me today. Again, really hope you enjoyed this adventure. I'm enjoying more and more bringing this variety style to you, just telling you what's on my mind, telling you more of my day-to-day, in addition to that normal theme park stuff. I think this sort of thing I'm handling well and, being able to adapt and adjust to being inside all the time. And hopefully you feel that it's a good adaptation as well. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay informed of future adventures. And until next time, play on.